Check 1, 2. Lectern. Lectern. Check 1, 2.
That sounds good.
Podium. Podium. Check 1, 2. Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Let's do.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Yeah, leave it locked on. Leave it locked on because I'm gonna do the quick question.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the investiture of the Honorable Christopher Green as County Court Judge of the 11th Judicial Circuit of Florida. Please remain standing as we invite some very special guests to start us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I know you're all asking, she didn't wait for the hear ye, but my bailiff, Larry, has terrible laryngitis and is under doctor's orders not to do it, so it's not me forgetting. It's me giving Larry a little bit of a break. So presume he said the hear ye. So here we have Judge Green's children, Andrew, 27, Matthew, 25, and Stephen, 20. And grandson, John David, who I really thought he should bring, because not that you guys aren't cute and cuddly, but we usually have someone smaller here. But the grandson, age 2, is not here. But thank you very much, and if you can begin the Pledge of Allegiance for us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, boys. Very well done. Please remain standing as we welcome Deacon Thomas Hanlon from St. Louis Catholic Church, close friend of the Green family, to lead us in the invocation.
I feel like I ought to give a sermon here, but I didn't. Got to know the Green family in 1990. John and I started our studies, religious studies, in 1994. John and I became deacons in the Archdiocese of Miami. So it's truly an honor. And I know John's, who passed away in 2016, is watching down and so proud of his son. Our Lord and God, we ask your blessing today upon your servant, Judge Christopher Green. Bless Judge Green with wisdom, patience, respect, and adherence to the law for all who will appear before him. Grant him a temperament that values all persons, regardless of economic, social class, ethnicity, or color. Lord, I pray that you might rain down from heaven, from the fountain that never dries, abundant blessings upon your servant, Christopher Green. May his investiture this day be the beginning of a lifetime of judicial excellence and service. May the roses rise up to meet him. May the wind be always at his back. May the sun shine warm upon his face, and rain fall soft upon his fields. Until we meet again, may God hold him at the palm of his hand. And we all say, amen.
Amen. Thank you all so much. Please be seated. On this special day, we have many special guests who have joined us here and actually also on our YouTube virtually. And with the rain, we're probably going to have some of them coming in slowly but surely. And one of them is coming in right now. She can come on in and sit down. Perfect timing. From the Miami-Dade County Commission, we have Commissioner Keone McGee, District 9, Commissioner J.C. Bermudez, District 12, and Commissioner Keon Hardiman. I saw him somewhere. Where is he? From the City of Miami, City Attorney's Office, we have Chief Deputy John Greco, who's also going to be one of our speakers. From the City of Miami, Chief Manuel Morales. Robin Jackson, retired City Attorney. From the City of Sweetwater, Commissioner Ian Vallecillo. From the 3rd District, I don't see her, but she might be with us virtually or on her way in the rain, Monica Gordo. From the American Board of Trial Advocates, Sean Cleary. From the Cuban American Bar Association, also the General Counsel of Miami-Dade College, we have Javi Le Soto, President-elect of CABA. Miami-Dade Bar Association, also one of our speakers today, is President Roger Slade. From the Florida Association of Women Lawyers, Miami-Dade chapter, I think Veronica Mesa might be here. No? From the, we'll clap for her anyway. From the Miami-Dade Trial Lawyers Association, we have here Aaron Boslin, who's the executive director, but not for much longer, so this is his swan song. Thank you, Aaron, for all you've done the last couple of years. Joni Mosley, board member of the Miami-Dade Trial Lawyers Association. From the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, Miami-Dade chapter, we have Mike Davis, president, and Kevin Hellman, past president. From the Miami Catholic Lawyers Guild, we have Francis Sexton, the president. And I know she's here because she's one of our speakers. We also have an alum of the Circuit Court and former 3rd DCA Judge Leslie Rothenberg. If there's anyone else I forgot, please. Rocky Rodriguez, I don't know how I missed that one. Former General Counsel to Governor Jeb Bush. And anyone else, I'm sure I'll start getting some text messages from people letting me know that you're here, and so we will, I promise I will announce you at a later point in the program. I also have here today, I'm very honored to represent our court family that's far extended beyond the judiciary. We have from the Public Defender's Office, on behalf of Public Defender Carlos Martinez, we have Rick DeMaria, executive. He's the executive chief. On behalf of State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle, we have Marie-Jo Toussaint, deputy chief. On behalf of Regional Counsel, we have Margaret Julian. And our clerk of courts, I was going to say our new clerk of courts, but you've been here a while now, Louis, so it's not new any longer. When he started, he had hair, and now he doesn't have hair anymore. Our fabulous clerk of courts, Louis Montaldo. And finally, last but not least, supporting our day-to-day operations with their wisdom, their expertise, and I have to add their patience. The judiciary is nothing without them. Representing our trial court administration, we have Deputy Trial Court Administrator Sandy Garcia, our General Counsel Pat Gladson, We also have Eunice Sigler, our Public Information Officer. We have my incredible staff, Kayla Ponte and Larry Chester. And our incredible audiovisual and IT team that makes it possible for us not to only be here with you live and in person, but also have this be live streamed, and later on, you'll be able to watch it over and over and over again on YouTube. And now for remarks on behalf of the Florida Bar, I just introduced you to our friend and distinguished attorney and Board of Governors member and alumna of our court, as well as the 3rd DCA, Leslie Rothenberg.
Thank you and good afternoon, Judge Green, Chief Judge Lucian Safey, my former colleagues on the bench, all of the esteemed lawyers and distinguished speakers that are here, and of course, Judge Green's beautiful family. So welcome, everyone. It is my privilege to be here today representing the 13,000 members of the Florida Bar. Now, I have never been known for my brevity, but I promise you I will be very short today. Judge Green, first and foremost, on behalf of the Florida Bar and the Florida Bar Board of Governors, congratulations on your appointment to the Miami-Dade County Court bench. Now that you have served for approximately 2 or 3 months, I'm sure that you already recognize the importance and the privilege and the honor of serving on this esteemed bench. Our judges play an extremely important role in our judicial system and the society as a whole. We expect our judges to be leaders in the community. They set the example by which we are all judged. How they dispense justice, hold themselves out both on the bench and in the community, in many respects, defines how our branch of government is perceived by the general public. But I, who know you, and everyone here who knows you, have absolutely no doubt that you, Judge Green, will be an excellent judge. You have the maturity, you have the experience. You've practiced law for over 30 years. Criminal law as an assistant public defender, civil law, first as an associate at what is now Cole, Scott & Cassane, and then for 22 years as an attorney for the city of Miami, serving as the chief of litigation and the appellate division, and as a board-certified trial lawyer. You have the integrity. You will take this job very seriously and perform only at the very highest level because, frankly, you know no other way to serve. We have seen that with your service for 30 years. You also have the work ethic, and with the very heavy caseload that each of these judges shoulder every day, the lawyers and the parties will be so pleased to find that you are a judge who will hear their matters and resolve them. You also have the judicial demeanor. The judicial demeanor that we, as lawyers and as citizens of this community, have the right to expect of our judges. You are kind, respectful, unassuming, well-mannered, and humble, but without sacrificing confidence and decisiveness. In other words, you will be a rock star. And I mean that quite literally. If some of you may know, Judge Green is a real live rock star who plays with the 540s, which is a rock band, where he wows the crowd, jamming on his guitar with his friend, Judge Carlos Gamez, who was also appointed to the county court bench. Can you picture this mild-mannered, unassuming, wonderful human being playing, jaw-dropping rock music from the Rolling Stones, the Hot Chili Peppers, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Chris Stapleton on a guitar? Let's face it, Judge Green, you don't exactly look like a rock star. But make no mistake about it, Judge Green plays a mean guitar. He is a rock star, and he will wow all of us on the bench. So Judge Green, on behalf of the Florida Bar and the Florida Bar Board of Governors, congratulations. Enjoy and make us proud. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judge Rothenberg. I just noticed two people I see on behalf of Commissioner Renee Garcia's office. I see Harold Foster here. And I see also our former colleague Scott Janowitz here. And now, on behalf of the Miami-Dade Bar Association, we have President Roger Slade.
Judge Green, members of the judiciary, fellow lawyers, friends and family of Judge Green. I'm Roger Slade, as you know, president of the Miami-Dade Bar. Thank you for inviting me to speak here today on behalf of Judge Green. When people have asked me how my tenure is going as president of the Miami-Dade Bar, I always point to the investitures as one of the highest consistent points of my tenure. As all of you know, there are a lot of highs and lows that take place in this building for lawyers and members of the judiciary. But one thing that many lawyers are not aware about is that the investitures are one of the high points for everyone involved. How great is it that we get to gather in this room and make positive remarks about members of the judiciary? I don't know if that was meant to be funny or not. I confess that these investitures can get emotional, friends and family members of the judge welling up with tears of happiness at the extraordinary accomplishments, hard work, and dedication that it takes to get here. And Judge Green, from whom we have gathered here today, it's no different. I tried to do some homework about Judge Green before I came here today to speak to you, and I spoke to some of his friends and fellow judges, his trial partners, and his colleagues at the City of Miami who have known him for more than 22 years. During those conversations, several themes emerged, and I'm going to repeat to you now the words that I heard about Judge Green over and over again. Family man, loves his wife, loves his children, great colleague, incredibly well-prepared lawyer, great on his feet, excellent mentor. No one will be better on the bench, thoughtful, respectful, fair, calming force and influence at work and in the courtroom. He has lots of energy. Quote, he is the most well-rounded attorney I have ever met. Quote, he can do it all. Good friend. Persistent. Apparently Judge Green was nominated, I think, 9 times. So then he's also obviously patient, which they also mentioned. He's good at all aspects of trial work, opening, direct, cross, closing, motion argument. He's honest. He's hardworking. He's a great guitar player. I've seen him play at the Miami-Dade Bar with his band. They were the winner, by the way, at the Miami-Dade Bar's Battle of the Bands this year, the 540s. And when I asked one of his colleagues whether they had any funny anecdotes to tell me about Judge Green, this was the response. He's a great guy, but truthfully, he's not all that funny. And then he said, if I can think of anything funny that he ever said or did, I will call you back. Well, he never called. Nonetheless, it's more than obvious that Judge Green has all of the qualities that we value in members of our judiciary. It sounds to me like, Judge Green, we're very lucky to have you on the bench, so I want to wish you congratulations to you and your family on behalf of the Miami-Dade Bar, and I'm sure you're going to be an asset to our community. Thank you very much.
I just said, why are they called the 540s? And he's like, you have to ask Carlos. I'll try to find that out for y'all and get that information out to you later. So Judge Green, you've been sitting on the bench for a few months now, and I know your walls have been bare and you have no swag. So today you get your judicial swag. So today you get your plaque from the County Conference of County Court Judges. You have a beautiful frame here to hang up from the Cuban American Bar Association, and you have a gavel. I was asking someone the other day, do judges, any of you guys use these for real? No, but you need to have one. You have to have one. Every kid who came around yesterday during Bring Your Kid to Work Day, first thing they asked about is, where's the hammer? Where's the hammer thing? So you also have your gavel from the Miami-Dade Trial Lawyers Association. And with that, we're going to have now speakers on behalf of the judges' family and friends. We have Chief Deputy City Attorney John Greco from the City of Miami.
Thank you so much. You know, it is an honor and privilege to be here today to talk about the achievements and contributions of Judge Green. I'm going to call you Chris today because we've worked together for so long, 15 years, and although I wouldn't do it out in public today for these purposes, I will refer to you as Chris. When you write the words, it's different from the feeling you get when you're here, and it really is an honor, a really tremendous honor and privilege. I'm so proud. For everyone here, some of us have worked with Chris, some of the judiciary have worked with Chris. I have worked with Chris for half of my legal career, very, very closely. We've tried cases together, we've had appeals together, Chris has had appeals, and really every day, I don't think a day went by that Chris and I haven't sat down, consulted with each other, and managed I would say almost a large law office central to the city of Miami. I feel that through that, I have really come to know Chris as an attorney of the highest caliber, you know, the top caliber. He is a champion of ethics. He is an intellect. He works early mornings. He works late nights, the hardest of workers. And as we all know, when it comes to civil procedure, Chris is the expert. It was very common, and you know, in the office, that if anyone came to me with a civil procedure question, I would say, "Ask Chris." Ask Chris. Why are you asking me? Ask Chris. Because Chris was and is the expert. Chris and I I always refer to work in our office as a crucible. Because of the pressure and you know, the fast-paced workload that we would have every day, and it's in that crucible that an attorney of Chris's caliber was forged and developed this mastery of a vast breadth of substantive law. Now I know when you start listing areas of law, I'm going to leave things out. The office that Chris worked for 22 years covered almost every area of civil law, and a lot of areas crossed over with criminal issues. But I will tell you that he had become an expert in civil rights, land use and zoning, personal injury, insurance, procurement, construction, and the list goes on and on and on. When confronted with when confronted with a new type of case, which would happen from time to time, he would roll up his sleeves and dig in. You know, nothing like something new, a new area of law to learn. He always wanted to learn a new area of law. I will tell you, there was no case that was too big or too small for Judge Green. And I will tell you, this is the only thing I have this funny, I think, to me, is that I oftentimes we have a case, and I would tell Chris, you know, we could resolve this case for a nominal amount. You know, we don't have to. You have a ton of other cases to work on. You know, work on your other cases. You have big cases, and you know, Chris would come back to me, and if it involved the application of a rule of law, he would say, you know, I want to try that case. I want to litigate it. I want to present my arguments as to the proper application of the rule of law. And in this, Chris's commitment has always been unwavering. Personally, I know him to be a dedicated and loving husband, father, and friend. In our office, he has mentored countless interns, attorneys, including myself. I miss you dearly, brother. Dearly. Our office is not the same without you. But on behalf of our office, we're so proud. We are so proud. We're all so proud. And our loss is the gain of the state, the judiciary, South Florida, and to quote a colleague of ours, you are what is good about this world. Our love, our pride, and our best wishes go with you.
Thank you very much. And now for further personal remarks on behalf of the judge's family and friends, Judge Green's better half, his spouse, Elizabeth Edwards Green.
One of Chris's mother's favorite Bible verses was Psalm 118:24. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This truly describes how our family sees today. We thank God and are rejoicing in this career change that is the fulfillment of Chris's desire to sit on the bench. I've had the pleasure of knowing Chris for 40 years. I was 2 when we met. And have been lucky enough to be married to him for 30 years. Of course, this means, I already said that anyways. We met through a mutual friend who set us up on a blind date, then proceeded to sit between us at the movies. But love would prevail. Together we have 4 handsome sons, a beautiful daughter-in-law, our cutie patootie 2-year-old grandson, and a granddaughter due at mid-May. Our oldest 3 sons led us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning. Our youngest son, who has autism, is at school because his routine is more important to his well-being and ours than for him to be here with us today. Chris was born in Pompton Plains, New Jersey, to John and Doris Green. He is the baby of 5. He has 3 older sisters, Janice, Ellen, Pat, and an older brother, John. I can honestly say I have been blessed with the best in-laws ever. I feel more like a daughter and sister than an in-law. Chris moved to Miami when he was 5 years old. They lived in Pinecrest before it was Pinecrest. His parents were hardworking, faith-filled people, traits they passed on to their children. He graduated from Christopher Columbus High School and started college here in Miami, but transferred to Maryville College, which is now Maryville University, in Missouri. He majored in communications and decided in his final year of college that he wanted to go to law school. He attended Nova Law School, which is now Nova Southeastern University. 1992 was a whirlwind year for Chris. In May, he graduated law school. That summer, he studied for and took the Florida bar, all while we planned our wedding. We waited for the thick envelope to show up from the bar, because in those days, you could not get it online. They were delivered by snail mail. The thick envelope was good news, and the thin envelope means you had to study more and sit through the torture of the bar exam again. In August, on my birthday, Hurricane Andrew beat Miami up a bit. In mid-September, he received the thick envelope, and finally, on October 2nd, he was sworn into the bar at the 3rd DCA, and the very next day, we were married. He will always remember those 2 anniversaries, as will I. And no, passing the bar was not a condition of our getting married. From his first year in law school, Chris knew he wanted to be in the courtroom, which is what led him to become a litigator. And from what I have been told by friends and colleagues and have witnessed for myself, he is a highly effective litigator. His heart has always been in public service. Also in 1992, he began his career in public service. During the final year of law school, he signed up for a course called Criminal Clinic, which allowed him to work for the Public Defender's Office as a certified legal intern. During this internship, under the supervision of Gary Pont, Robert Lamons, and Randy Petray, he participated in 10 jury trials in Judge Kahn's courtroom. He was hooked. In March 1993, when the PD's office had a position available, it was offered to him. He worked there for 6 years, beginning in juvenile, then county court, and finally the felony division. When he reached the A felonies, we had 2 small boys at home. They're not so small anymore. And he decided it was time to move on to civil practice. He was hired as an associate for the firm of Cole, White, and Bilbrough, which is also now Cole, Scott, Cassane, where he learned insurance defense. He realized this didn't allow him to go into the courtroom. So after missing out on the courtroom, and after my mother, who worked for the city of Miami, mentioned an opening in the city attorney's office, he applied and was hired October 2000 as a litigation attorney. About 7 years ago, he was promoted to division chief of litigation. He spent a total of 22 years with the city, as you've heard, and he was appointed to the bench in December. With the exception of his time at Cole, White, Bilbrough, Chris has spent his entire career in public service. With this appointment, he continues that path. Outside his legal career, Chris has also been in service to others. As my husband, he is my partner, and we have volunteered together in Boy Scouts and as lectors in St. Louis Catholic Church. Chris and I spent about 18 years first in Cub Scouts and then Boy Scouts, helping our boys and many others through the ranks of Boy Scouts. Many of them, including our 3 oldest sons, achieved the rank of Eagle Scout. That's why they know the pledge so well. As lectors, we proclaim the Word of God at Mass each week. Chris is also a very talented guitarist. Again, you've heard this before. A gift he shares with his brother John. He is in not one, but 2 bands, the 540s, which he plays with Carlos Gamez, and with the 5 p.m. youth mass at St. Louis Church. Many of you have heard him played with the 540s at the Battle of the Legal Bands. Chris is a man of faith and integrity. He is a loyal husband, father, grandfather, brother, and friend. He is talented but humble. He does not like being the center of attention, so he is way out of his comfort zone here. He is persistent. He did apply many times. The process of applying to the bench was long, as he applied several times. Each time brought some disappointment, but many people encouraged him to keep applying, that his time would finally come. And it has come. As Galatians 6:9 states, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." The evening he received the call from Governor DeSantis' office, we were just hanging out at our house with our family. Chris went into the office to turn off the computer and came out a little later with a grin on his face that told me everything. That was another day the Lord has made with great rejoicing and many phone calls made. I want to conclude with Philippians 1:6, and I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. We're very proud of you. We love you.
And now for the oath of office and robing, I would like to ask our very own Circuit Judge Peter Lopez to please join Judge Green and his family at the podium. Welcome back up, kids, and Elizabeth, and also father-in-law Jack Edwards, daughter-in-law Joanna Pernia Green. And actually, wait, I'm sorry. Hold on, there was an addition. Hold on. And siblings, Janice, Ellen, Pat, and John. There you go. You may not have been told, but I said bring everybody up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just got to say a couple words. Chris, I've heard a lot about you. Didn't know about the guitar playing, but I met you about 26 years ago when I was transferred to the criminal division. Those of us that have gone through the criminal division, we understand how important it is to have a good team. I was always impressed with your zealous advocacy, but moreover, you were a team player. You don't know how happy I am with our colleagues to have you back on our team. I state your name.
I, Christopher Green,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and government of the United States of America
and government of the United States of America
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am qualified
that I am qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution
under the Constitution
of the state of Florida,
of the state of Florida,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
the duties of judge
the duties of judge
of the county court
of the county court
of the 11th Judicial Circuit
of the 11th Judicial Circuit
of the state of Florida,
of the state of Florida,
on which I am now
on which I am now
about to enter.
about to enter. So help me God.
Everyone, please be seated. And ladies and gentlemen, Judge Green.
I was given the sage advice of just take a moment and take in this moment. Chief Judge Safey, fellow colleagues, friends, and guests, I am so honored and humbled today by your presence here. In these brief remarks, I just want to thank those who helped me get here, recognize special colleagues, family, and friends, and give you my thoughts and experiences on judging since taking the bench on January 3rd of this year. There are so many people who have contributed to making this moment possible. First and foremost, I truly believe that I would not be here today but for the grace of God, and I give him thanks for that. I want to thank Governor DeSantis for putting his trust in me to serve the people of our county. With additional special thanks to the governor's past and present general counsel, Joe Jaco and Ryan Newman, and Assistant General Counsel Meredith Pardo, Director of Judicial Appointments. It was Ms. Pardo who called me at 6 o'clock on December 13th to give me the great news that the governor had appointed me. I mentioned the date because it was the night before the deadline for the governor's appointment. I had become accustomed to the hurry up and wait process of judicial appointments. But I knew when it gets close to the 60th day, you answer every phone call, even if it's a robocall telling you you need to buy an extended warranty for your car, in hopes that it might be the call. When I saw the call come in at 6 o'clock with the 850 Tallahassee area code, my heart skipped a beat. But of course, I wouldn't have gotten to that point without the support of the Judicial Nominating Commission and my many interviews over the last 3 years. I thank the chairs who presided over my nominations, Walter Harvey, Miranda Soto, Robert Fernandez, and Pedro Allende, and the other members of the JNC who are on my nomination at the time that I got appointed: Scott Diamond, Hayden O'Byrne, Robert Pardo, Jesus Suarez, and Kansas Gooden. Thank you for your continued support and faith in me as a qualified candidate. The JNC rules allow you to speak with members as long as you don't have an application pending before them. And I always found the members to be accessible and answer my questions and provide valuable feedback and encouragement. Every application and interview was a learning experience. And as I say that, I look at one of my fellow nominees, Eloisa Correa, who's been through the process with me. Scott Janowitz, also a fellow nominee with me. Everything was a learning experience, even if the only question they asked was, so tell us what you've been doing since the last 2 months when we saw you last. I've learned from the experiences of other judges who've been through the process, which is challenging and arduous. Each time I applied, I had to update my application to include the names of the most recent cases I had tried or settled, and the names, addresses, phone numbers, and emails of all those attorneys involved. A member of the JNC was then assigned to vet my references and contact those attorneys. It was often very rewarding professionally to hear that opposing counsel had given me positive feedback to the JNC about their experiences with me in trial or litigating a case to settlement. To me, the highest compliment that could be paid is that I was an excellent lawyer and I treated them fairly and professionally. For further support in this process, I am indebted to 3 judges who were always approachable and answered many of my questions. Judges Miguel de la O, who's here, Judge Ramiro Reeses, and Judge Flor Labrie. I remember Judge Labrie calling and speaking with me on the morning of my first interview in Tallahassee in 2019 when I was interviewing for openings on the county and circuit bench. In preparation for today, I watched several investitures through the magic of YouTube. And one of those was Judge De La O's investiture 10 years ago. And when you watch the video, I can see a very young version of myself sitting in the back where I think that's Rachel Dooley is, approximately, with Kevin Jones. Hopefully, some of our future judges are here today as well. Two of my close friends and now colleagues, Judges Rodriguez-Fonts and Gamez, helped me tremendously and supported me and encouraged me throughout the process, which is full of its ups and downs. I had the pleasure of meeting and working with both Oscar and Carlos at the City Attorney's Office. Finally, thank you to all who wrote letters, sent emails, or made phone calls on my behalf to the JNC and the Governor's Office. I want to thank those who spoke here today. Thank you, Deacon Hanlon, for standing in proxy for my father. Thank you, Judge Rothenberg, for your kind words and your service to this community as a prosecutor, a circuit court judge, and appellate court judge. You would think that would be enough and she would retire, but no. She decided, let's go into private practice because she was bored. Thank you for your kind words and encouragement on behalf of the Florida Board of Governors. I'm proud to say that we are both Nova Law School alumni. Thank you, Roger, for taking the time to speak with me and my colleagues in preparation for today. As I told him on the phone, I sometimes feel like the Kevin Bacon of the legal community because I can connect to everyone here within 6 degrees. Even though we are a county of nearly 3 million people, the legal community feels very small. And thank you, John Greco, my brother from another mother. Besides being born in the same year, we share so many things in common. We were both born in the Northeast. We both went to small liberal arts colleges where we studied journalism, and we were both editors of our college newspapers. We are both board-certified specialists by the Florida Bar. John, whom I always refer to as the board-certified appellate attorney, and myself in civil trial practice. Unfortunately, we both also share a common handicap, and that is when the conversation turns to sports. Please do not ask our opinions on the current lineup of the Heat, the Dolphins, Marlins, or the Canes. The running joke is whether John is going to appropriately use a sports analogy in conversation. I have the same problem. However, if you want to talk to us about books, music, and movies, we're there. So we're much more comfortable quoting lines from The Godfather, Princess Bride, The Lord of the Rings trilogy, and our favorite musical, Hamilton. Yes, John, I believe we are fellow geeks who happen to love the law. Thank you. Then you heard from the Green family Chief Operating Officer. My wife of 30 years, or as my JA says, the Chief of Staff. She is truly the glue that keeps our family together. I could spend my entire time here today just singing her praises. Her primary job is caretaker for our 12-year-old autistic son, Joseph, who's not here today. And I think it's appropriate that April is Autism Awareness Month. You know, I could get up here and say so many things, but if you've met one child on the autism spectrum, you've only met one child. There's a reason they call it a spectrum, because there's a wide range of people on that spectrum. 1 in every 36 children are diagnosed currently on the autism spectrum. You know, a long time ago, there's a movie called The Rain Man, which it accurately portrayed some things, but not others. Certainly, Joseph has those OCD characteristics, and this would have thrown him completely off his schedule to be here today and caused him great anxiety. But not all people on the autism spectrum are savants or geniuses, but they all want to be treated like regular people and accepted in the community as much as possible. There's the public service announcement for autism. My wife deserves an Outstanding Achievement Medal just for raising 4 boys. The phrase indomitable spirit and unassailable character defines her. Just to give you one example, what did she do during the COVID-19 lockdown? She went back to college after 25 years and earned her bachelor's degree with honors from the University of Florida. And I'm sorry to all you Canes fans, but the greenhouse is the Gator Nation. Thank you, Judge Lopez. I did not go, but my 2 oldest sons, Andrew and Matthew, graduated from the University of Florida. My sister, Pat, graduated from the University of Florida, and my lovely daughter-in-law graduated with her doctoral degree in occupational therapy from the University of Florida. You know, at one point during the pandemic, we had 5 of the 6 people in our house doing online studies while I was taking Zoom depots at the dining room table. I always got asked the question, why does Dad keep saying object to form, object to form? My wife never ceases to amaze me with her love and positive spirit. Judge Lopez, thank you for being here today and sharing this moment. As a public defender, I worked my way through the ranks as a C, B, and A level PD, but spent most of my time as the B in Judge Lopez's division. At that time, like, people were not leaving the office, so there was not a lot of upward movement. And I can remember when he first took the bench, I believe that he was shadowing Judge Glick, if I don't, and I think I may have been one of his first jury trials. We spent a lot of time together, both in the criminal court and in the civil court. I view you as a role model of what every judge should aspire to be. Your demeanor, the way you treat people in the courtroom, litigants and attorneys, to me has always been a model of what I would like to be as a judge. And thank you. Special thanks to Scott Janowitz, and I thank you for being here, Scott, for connecting me with his former judicial assistant, Michelle Franco. Unfortunately, she could not be here today because she had to take her daughter out of town. Michelle and my bailiff, Louis Powell, who I don't think is here, but they do a great job keeping me on track as we maneuver the challenges of Zoom and hybrid hearings on a daily basis. Sometimes the mechanics of conducting court is more complicated than just making the decisions. For example, try conducting a hybrid Zoom hearing with an interpreter and exhibits on a domestic violence injunction, as Judge Kelly will understand. Thank you to my colleagues on the county and circuit bench who have been so gracious in welcoming me and offering me support and advice. 2 judges in particular have helped me transition into the role of county judge. First is my administrative judge and neighbor at the Caleb Center, Judge Gordon Murray. Thank you, Judge Murray. As soon as I heard of my assignment in the civil division, Judge Murray called me to give me the rundown of my duties and case assignments. He's a great mentor and is always available to answer questions whenever I pop into his chambers for a visit. The second judge who helped me in my transition is Judge Jackie Woodward, who I don't believe is here today. But I took over her division at the Caleb Center. Now, Judge Woodward and I go back several years as public defenders in county court. We were trial partners handling misdemeanors and traffic offenses in Judge Taretha Lundy Thomas's division. Judge Woodward has strictly forbidden me to discuss publicly how long ago that was, but you can do the math. Even before I took the bench, Judge Woodward gave me a tour of my new chambers at the Caleb Center, which at the time was loaded with boxes and a bit of a disaster. It seems her organizational skills have not changed since I knew her back in my public defender days. I also want to recognize the staff, the clerks at the Caleb Center who've been tremendously helpful in my transition. I know I can see Ms. Sheila Kirkland here, my domestic violence clerk. Thank you so much for making my job much easier. I also want to recognize my classmates from Judicial College who may be here. and the fellow new judges on the bench, Judges Bach, De La Rosa, Priavolos, and Rodriguez. We all started on January 3rd, and we're off the next week to Judicial College at the fabulous Embassy Suites in Kissimmee, Florida. Later, we commiserated about the state of Florida's travel reimbursement website, which, as the judges will know, is purposely complicated in an effort to save funds for the state of Florida. Thanks to my family members who traveled here today, my sister Ellen from Minnesota making the sacrifice to leave the great North, Janice from North Carolina, and my father-in-law Jack from Virginia. Closer to home, my son Andrew came from Gainesville, and I would be remiss if not recognizing my childhood friend Mike Blatty, who came here with his wife from Orlando. We've known each other for, I think, over 45 years. Thank you, Mike. Today is a surreal moment. To borrow a phrase from our chief judge, it's a pinchable moment. As in pinch me, I must be dreaming. It's the realization of a long-term career goal. Since my first year in law school, I knew that I wanted to be in practice in the courtroom, whether as a trial lawyer or arguing appeals. I could not envision a career as a lawyer stuck behind a desk. I have tremendous respect for transactional lawyers, but I could never see myself in that role. To borrow a lyric from Hamilton, I wanted to be in the room where it happened, and the room was the courtroom. Although now it's the Zoom room. So after my first year of mandatory classes, I focused on classes that would develop my skills as a trial or appellate lawyer. I took classes in trial advocacy, pretrial practice, and competed in moot court competitions. I practiced as a litigator for 30 years before taking the bench, so I'm not going to bore you with details or war stories. With the exception of 1 year, most of my time has been as a public servant. I am so proud of my years working for Bennett Brummer in the Public Defender's Office and the relationship I formed with fellow PDs and prosecutors. So many great trial lawyers, and now judges, started in one of those two offices before moving on to bigger things. I am also so proud of my time at the City of Miami City Attorney's Office, and I'm so thankful to see so many of you here today and so many of my former clients. Commissioner Hardiman, thank you for being here today. My former client is now my neighbor at the Caleb Center, and Chief Morales, thank you very much for being here today. Working at the City Attorney's Office was a litigator's dream job. I had the opportunity to work on so many different kinds of cases with so many talented lawyers. When I first started at the city, we had a wonderful appellate lawyer named Myrna Bricker, wife to Alan Schwartz of the 3rd District Court of Appeal. Sadly, Myrna passed away after a battle with cancer, leaving a hole in our hearts and our office. But for 2 years, we had to handle our own appeals. And this gave me the opportunity to argue cases before the 3rd DCA and the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. It's nice to know that part of my legacy is forever memorialized in the Southern and Federal Reporters. 2 lawyers really stand out in my memory as mentors at the City Attorney's Office, and I want to recognize them. One of them I can see here today is Henry Hunnefeld, the other is Warren Bittner. Henry taught me civil litigation. He really did. And he encouraged me to become board certified. I am so thankful for Henry's friendship and mentorship. I'm so grateful that many others from the City Attorney's Office are here today. Unfortunately, the City Attorney Victoria Mendez could not be here today, but she sends warm wishes. She is one of the hardest working public servants I ever know and had the pleasure of working with. It is a bittersweet moment today that my parents are not here to see this moment, but that I know they are here in spirit. My parents were both born during the Great Depression and came of age during World War II. They were part of what Tom Brokaw called the greatest generation. A generation marked by strong work ethic, loyalty, and sacrifice. They had very humble beginnings. My mother did not graduate from high school, but what she lacked in formal education, she made up for with common sense. My father had no formal education past high school, but he had practical experience working as a draftsman and had the mind of a mechanical engineer, even though he lacked the degree. Together, my parents raised 5 children over 4 decades, the 50s through the 80s, getting by at times on a shoestring budget, when my father worked multiple jobs. In the late 50s and 60s, they lived in public housing project in Union City, New Jersey. From my father, I learned that actions speak louder than words. He was a man who served others and practiced the virtue of humility, even when he later became a successful businessman. My parents were married for 64 years when my mom passed away. Their love, faith, and encouragement allowed us and my siblings to become successful. My oldest 3 sons are here today, Andrew, Matthew, and Stephen, and my daughter-in-law, Joanna. I am so proud of all of them. The 3 boys today all earned their Eagle ranks in the Boy Scouts, even though at times they were very much turkeys. I was never a Boy Scout, but the great thing about being a parent is you get to do things that you never did as a kid, right? So some of my fondest memories ever as a parent are those in Scouts. Things I would have never done or envisioned myself doing, like rappelling from a 5-story tower, backpacking in the Colorado Rockies, camping on the beach at Fort Jefferson in the Dry Tortugas, and many nights sleeping in leaky tents during rainstorms. I cherish those. I'm so proud to have my daughter-in-law, Joanna, here today to share this experience with it. Joanna is a first-generation American whose parents came here from Nicaragua and Venezuela. She is an amazing young woman who completed her doctoral degree while pregnant and later giving birth to my grandson, John. Finally, a word on judging. To borrow a quote from Justice Gorsuch, judging can be a lonely job. When you become a judge, you fiercely defend only one client, the law. It's a paradigm shift to go from lawyer advocate to judge. I always approach advocacy as a team effort. I never went to trial without a trial partner, sometimes more than one if the case required it. Always brainstorming ideas and strategies with other lawyers. As a judge, it's just you, your JA, and bailiff in chambers. I'm still getting used to the isolation. But as a judge, I am ever mindful of the limited role I play in our system of government. I am not a policymaker. My job is simply to apply and interpret the law as written by the legislative branch or as set forth in binding precedent by the appellate courts. The county court is a trial court, not an appellate court. Judge Jordan wrote the following in a City of Miami opinion from the 11th Circuit. I know it's a quote that John and I both love. In the hierarchy of law, language is king. Words matter in constitutions, treaties, statutes, rules, cases, and contracts. As a judge, I have to apply the plain meaning of the words chosen by legislatures, regardless of my personal opinions or preferences as to how I would have drafted the statute. But that's the oath I swore and I took today. I am humbled and honored to serve you according to my oath. Thank you.
Congratulations, Judge Green. So this one's special because like Chris was mentioning, we have so many alums on the bench that were from the Public Defender's Office. I started about a year after Chris did at the Public Defender's Office. And when we were preparing for the investiture, and the judges fill out a worksheet, and they always put their kids in there for the pledge, and he didn't put his kids' ages in there. So I sent him an email, and I said, well, how old are your kids? And I'm thinking, I don't know, young. And then he gives me the ages, and I freaked out. I'm like, how is it possible that his kids could be that old? And then I remembered my kids are the same age. Because in my mind, I was like, I've known Chris since we were, I guess Jackie Woodward doesn't want us to say, but you started in 93 and I started in 94. And back then, and part of it also is because he looks good. I'm like, he looks the same. He's like the Doogie Howser of PDs and judges. So, but he was always, the one thing that I always thought of, and over the years we'd run into each other here and there and in court and wherever, And I just remember him always being kind. And that was one of the things that always, more than anything else, I remember him being a kind and nice and calm and gentle person. And I think the one thing I've learned as a judge, but certainly as I meet new judges, is if you are kind, that is like 75–80% of the job. Everything else, the law you're going to learn, handling yourself on the bench you're going to learn, but being kind is certainly starts you off with a head start. And Chris, you're starting off with a head start. And the only other thing I want to say is, yes, it is an individual and isolating thing, but the one thing I've also learned, and I think you're very much a part of that already, is that for me, judging is a team sport. I know that I couldn't do this job without, my team, which is not just the judges, but as I always remark, our AOC. And Chris has been, I don't know, helpful. It feels like he's been on the bench a lot longer because he's been just a real member of our team. So someone go have lunch with him because apparently he's lonely over there. But you're definitely a great part of the team. So with that, thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. Please stay dry. Please, those of you who would like to greet the judge and his family, you're going to come here and go to this side of the courtroom, your right side. We're going to be over here on the left for a few minutes. You're going to want to come over here, but don't line up over here. Judge Green will be there with his family to greet you. And with that, on behalf of the judges and staff of the 11th Judicial Circuit of Florida, we thank you for being here, and court is in recess. Yay! That was great. So hold on one second, because I think he's going to come over here and pick one.